The night sky split open like a wound. Ralen had only meant to step outside for fresh air, but instead, he watched a streak of light plummet behind the ridge of the valley woods. A thunderous boom shuddered the earth beneath his boots. For a moment, he simply stood there, breath white in the cold air, wondering if he was hallucinating from too many late hours at the Astro Observation Center. Then he saw smoke, and he ran. His home sat on the outskirts of Fallow Bend, a small frontier town on Garos 3, a mid-tier colony world not known for anything beyond its quiet mines and its quiet people. Ralen was one of the few with aspirations that reached beyond the planet's dusty surface. He often spent hours observing star paths, noting anomalies, dreaming of ships far grander than the supply freighters that visited every cycle. But nothing in those dreams prepared him for what he found in the smoking crater. A pod, sleek, silver, scorched, embedded in the soil like a metallic seed. Its surface hummed, still warm. Ralen approached cautiously, heart pounding. When the hatch hissed open, he stumbled back, almost tripping over a fallen branch. A girl stepped out. Not human, at least not entirely. Her features were human-like, but subtly different. Luminescent lines patterned her skin like constellations mapped across her body, and her eyes glowed faintly with a soft cerulean light. She looked around, disoriented, before her gaze fell on him. "You're local?" she asked, her voice melodic, accented in a way no human accent could form. Ralen swallowed. "You could say that. Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No. But I am not where I intended to be." She swayed. Ralen caught her before she fell. She stared up at him, something unreadable in her glowing eyes. "My name is Arinya." "I'm Ralen," he replied. "Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe." He didn't know then that this moment, this simple act of offering shelter, would knot his destiny with hers, or that she wasn't simply a traveler lost in the stars. He didn't know she was a queen. Not yet. But he would learn. And the galaxy would tremble because of it. Middle. A queen hiding from her throne. Arinya spent her first days on Garos, 3 recovering in Ralen's cottage. She learned the shape of human speech quickly, adapting with uncanny precision. Her body healed at speeds that astonished him. Bruises vanished overnight, burns faded within hours. But her eyes, those glimmering eyes, held a worry that didn't heal. "Your ship," Ralen said one morning as he brewed synth tea, "it wasn't damaged by accident, was it?" She hesitated. "I left," Arinya confessed at last. "Not because of war or disaster, but because I was being forced into a life I did not choose." Ralen sat across from her, trying to decipher her expression. "You're running away?" "Yes," she breathed. "From my own people." Arinya explained slowly, choosing her words with care. She came from the Oralese Dominion, a star-spanning empire ruled by a hereditary monarchy. She was the heir, Princess Arinya Valoria, soon to be crowned queen after her mother's impending abdication. "I was to accept the crown at the next convergence," she said. "And with it, an arranged binding. Your term is marriage. A political union to secure alliances." Ralen nodded, understanding settling in like a weight. "You didn't want it." "No," she whispered, "because I wanted something else. Something more human." Her eyes lingered on him when she said it, but he pretended not to notice. Life settled into a strange rhythm. Ralen taught her how to blend in when they visited town. Arinya helped with chores, though she often stared at the simplest things, rain, firelight, birds, with a childlike wonder. She loved walking through the valley at dusk, watching the twin moons rise. And Ralen loved watching her. He tried not to. He failed. One evening, as they collected firewood, Arinya paused, gripping his arm. "I sense pursuit." Ralen's blood chilled. "From your people?" "Yes," she whispered. "A tracking unit."
Elite.
"They will not harm innocents, but they will extract me forcefully." That night, Ralen began hiding her pod deeper in the forest and prepared escape routes. But as the threat drew near, something else grew between them, unspoken, intense. One night, under the glow of moonlight, Arinya touched the back of his hand. "Humans bond by choice, do they not?" she asked softly. "Most do," Ralen said, heart hammering. "And you choose freely whom you care for?" "Yes." His voice was barely a whisper. She looked at him with a vulnerability that didn't belong to a queen. "I envy you, Ralen." He swallowed. "Why?" "Because your heart belongs to yourself," she murmured. "Mine does not." But it was already too late. It belonged partly to him. The hunt, and the truth of her heart. The hunters came at dawn. A ship descended silently over the treeline, shadows slicing across the forest. Ralen grabbed Arinya's hand, but she stopped him.
"No.
Running is pointless now. They will find me anywhere." The ramp of the vessel opened, and 3 figures stepped out clad in crystalline armor. Their leader, tall and silver-haired, spoke with icy authority. "Princess Arinya Valoria, you will return to the Dominion immediately." Ralen stepped forward before he could think. "She doesn't want to go." The soldiers glanced at him with mild curiosity, like he was an insect that had learned to speak. "This is not your concern, human," the leader said. Arinya moved between them. "It is his concern. I am not returning. It is not optional." Ralen saw something shift in Arinya, no longer the girl who marveled at birds, but a woman who had been trained to command. Her voice hardened. "My mother allowed me 6 cycles to prepare for coronation. I have used only 1. You have no authority to force me before that time." The soldiers hesitated. They knew she was right. But the leader narrowed his eyes. "Your disappearance destabilizes the Dominion. Civil unrest grows. We cannot risk." A pulse blast erupted without warning. Ralen hit the ground as a second ship, sleek, black, entirely unfamiliar, burst from the clouds. Arinya gasped. "No, not them." Ralen looked up. "Who are they?" "Rebels," she whispered. "A faction who believes the monarchy should end." The black ship fired again, striking the silver vessel, chaos erupting as soldiers scattered. Arinya grabbed Ralen. "We must reach my pod."
"Now."
They sprinted through the woods as explosions shook the air. Ralen's lungs burned, but Arinya pulled him faster than he thought possible. Behind them, rebel troops descended, weapons blazing. They reached the clearing where the pod was half buried. Arinya slammed her hand on its surface. The pod hummed awake, panels shifting. "Get inside," she ordered. Ralen froze.
"What?" "No."
"This is your escape pod." "It is built for 2, she said, pushing him toward it. "And I will not leave you." Ralen stared at her.
"Why?"
I'm just a guy who found you in the woods." Arinya stepped close, placing her forehead against his. "You are the only person who ever asked what I wanted," she whispered. "Not what the queen should want." Something inside him broke and rebuilt itself in the same breath. Explosions reached the clearing. Arinya looked back. "Ralen, please." He climbed in. The pod sealed, engines roaring. They blasted upward, cutting through smoke and treetops, leaving Garos, 3 shrinking behind them. Ralen watched the stars unfold, a sight he'd dreamed of his entire life, but it didn't feel real. None of it did, except her hand gripping his. The journey, And the answer, Arinya guided the pod manually, her fingers dancing over alien controls. Ralen could barely breathe, not from fear, but from the enormity of everything. "Where are we going?" he asked. "A sanctuary sector," she said. "Neutral ground. They cannot follow." Ralen leaned back, heart racing. "You risked everything to save me." She turned toward him, expression softening. "You risked everything to protect me first." Silence settled before she exhaled, voice trembling slightly. "There is something I must ask you. Not as a queen, but as Arinya." Ralen looked at her, chest tightening. She folded her hands, uncertainty flickering across her face. "On my world, bonding is sacred. It is a vow made not by obligation, but by choice. If I refuse the political union, I must offer an alternative to maintain stability." "An alternative?" Ralen repeated. She nodded. "A partner of my choosing." He froze. "I know it is selfish," Arinya whispered, eyes shimmering. "I know you may not feel the same, but I must speak my truth." She swallowed, gathering courage. "Ralen of Garos 3, will you enter a life bond with me? Will you marry me?" He stared at her, stunned, speechless. Marry her? A starborn princess? A future queen? His mind spun. But then he remembered the nights watching stars with her. The way she laughed at rain. The way she looked at him, as if he mattered more than empires. "Arinya," he said softly, "I'm not a warrior. I'm not a noble. I'm just you," she interrupted. "That is enough." He closed his eyes, then opened them with certainty. "Yes," he breathed. "I will." Her breath hitched, and she launched into his arms, pulling him into a fierce embrace. He held her as the pod drifted through starlight, their futures unwinding before them. But the journey was far from over. Ending, the queen who chose love the sanctuary sector was unlike anything Ralen imagined. Floating citadels made from crystal lattices glowing like suspended nebulae. Star gardens filled with bioluminescent flora. Peacekeepers who bowed to Arinya, not as a queen, but as someone worthy of respect. Here, news traveled slowly. The rebels did not dare breach the accords. The Dominion waited, cautiously, for Arinya's next move. And Ralen and Arinya lived. Not as fugitive and protector. Not as queen and subject. But as two people learning each other. She taught him how to read star charts encoded in oralese glyphs. He taught her to cook human foods, though she remained suspicious of anything spicy. They spent evenings watching supernova bloom simulations, hands intertwined. One night, as cosmic winds shimmered across the sanctuary sky, Arinya stood before Ralen wearing ceremonial silks that glowed softly. "Are you ready?" she asked. Ralen swallowed, adjusting the collar of his suit. "Ready as I'll ever be." They walked into the Hall of Harmonies, where representatives from dozens of worlds gathered. Arinya stood on a circular platform, Ralen beside her. A hum filled the air, a resonance that made his bones vibrate. The officiant, an elder alien with translucent skin, lifted their staff. "State your binding willingly." Arinya took Ralen's hands. "I choose you," she said. "Not because my throne demands it, but because my heart does." Ralen felt tears sting his eyes. "I choose you," he echoed. "Not because of your crown, but because you're Arinya, the woman who changed my life." Light enveloped them, swirling like galaxies being born. When it faded, the hall erupted in chimes of approval. They were bound, partners, equals, soul-linked across the stars. In the aftermath, Arinya made her declaration to her people. She would accept the crown, but on her terms. The monarchy would reform, granting citizens more voice. Peace negotiations began. The rebels quieted. Ralen didn't become royalty overnight, but he became something far more extraordinary, a symbol of choice over tradition, of love over duty. As for Arinya, she became the queen who changed the galaxy. Not alone, but with the man she chose. The man who chose her back. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking a star sea, she leaned against him. Ralen. Yeah. Do you regret it? She asked softly. Leaving your world. Your old life? He wrapped an arm around her waist.
No.
Because my home is wherever you are. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Good, she whispered. Because I asked for marriage, not as a queen, but as myself. And that, Ralen said, kissing her forehead, is exactly who I said yes to. They watched the stars blaze across the horizon, two souls bound together, not by fate, not by politics,
but by choice.
by love. And in the vast tapestry of the universe, that was the brightest light of all.